Hello there once again. Here we are, YCHYFUS, Kung Fu Film Podcast. As usual, we got me and we got Darren there, Rodney,
Yeah.
but we got a special guest, which is quite exciting. I will let him introduce himself. Who are you there? What are you up
Hi,
to?
my name is Nathan Geering. I am a martial arts. I'm a director and a choreographer and actor.
Nice. And some of you might have seen Nathan over at Ultimate Fight Clan Steve's show. You've been on there.
Yep.
But you haven't been on here before. So uh, give us a bit more. That's a bit of a tease. Tell us a bit more detail what's going on here then, Nathan.
Okay, in terms of who I am, what I do, and what I've been done with
Yeah,
things.
well, yeah, let's start with that then. I mean, you just say, oh, director, choreographer. I think people are like, oh, hang on now. Tell us a bit more about that, a bit more detail.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so I grew up watching old school kung fu movies as a child in the 80s and stuff. Um, and I've always been inspired by that. So everything I've ever done has always had an element of like kung fu. Like I think the philosophies of kung fu kind of like really shaped my life and things like that. And I got a lot of that from watching the movies. I studied quite a lot of martial arts over the years from childhood, but I kind of like stuck on Wing Chun, and Wing Chun was kind of like my main martial art form. I did that for quite some time, and then probably about yeah, well, just over 2.5 years ago, I decided that I was going to fulfill my dream to become, I guess, a kung fu movie maker. Really, I said to my, 8-year-old inner child, "Oh, what do you want to do?" He said, "I want to be Jackie Chan." So here we are, and I've been quite fortunate, I guess, in the just over 2.5 years I've been doing this, from being able to have my first screenwriting workshop be with Cynthia Rothrock, and then I was fortunate enough to be in the film Black Creek. So I guess my first martial arts film I was part of. I was, with like Cynthia, the late great Richard Norton, Keith Cook, Keith Vitale, Ben Jet, like all those cats. We were all in the same film together. But I was just an extra at the time.
I watched
But
that the other day, Black Creek, actually.
yeah, you see me scowling in the background, holding onto a
I,
shotgun and stuff.
in all honesty, I didn't catch you because I wasn't looking for you. But yeah,
That's all right. You're
Yeah,
like
he's put him out though. Yeah.
yeah, I'll have to watch it again now. See,
Yeah. So when I was in that on that kind of like set, it was more so about me kind of like shadowing the fight choreographer, Mike Muller. So kind of like just seeing how Mikey puts together fight scenes and things like that, which was kind of like a really great experience. And went over to Germany a bit later on, and had some more intensive training from Mike Muller as well. And then I was kind of like within the first year of me, I guess filmmaking, I ended up going out to Beijing and being trained by Jackie Chan's stunt team. So that was kind of like a big, I guess, a big milestone for me. In terms of he was my childhood hero, and now here I am getting trained by his stunt team in terms of action filmmaking. So and then I quickly went into making short films. Well, I started making short films just before I went and trained with Jackie's stunt team. So just to test some ideas and concepts out, because I'm also a b-boy. So I do a lot of rolling around on the floor and spinning on my head. Like hip hop culture is a big part of my life. And so I've always wanted to kind of like link kung fu and breaking. I'm not the first person to do it, but I kind of like have my own kind of like slant and approach to it. So I kind of like really developed that, and then I ended up developing my art form, which I call break fu, which combines kung fu and breaking. And then last year, I was fortunate enough to become a three-time world champion using break fu, actually, in Atlantic City at the Battle of the Dragons competition. So it's kind of like it was a huge honor, and like it was also a big risk because I didn't know, like, again, how the martial art community would receive what it is that I was doing and things. But I think they kind of like resonated with the fact that I was expressing my authentic self. So I think that really kind of like helped. But also there's a deep link between hip hop and kung fu, especially from
Yes.
right through from the beginnings.
That's
When
right. Yeah.
a lot of you know, a lot of the b-boys, they'd watch kung fu films like late night and stuff, and then they come back and then they put, you know, some of those kung fu movements into their breaking and things.
Yeah.
So with so what I try and do with breakthrough is I try and now make things go full circle, where kung fu influence breaking, but I'm now doing it so that breaking influence and certain kung fu techniques and certain movements and things. Because there's been certain like kung fu techniques that I've seen, and the momentum kind of like generates, but then it kind of like stops and it has to be regenerated again. Like for example, if you look at when you have like a 9-section whip and people are kind of like rolling on their back on the floor, you know, when they split their legs open. So it looks a little bit like a windmill, but they split the legs open and they spin the 9-section whip around their back and on the floor and stuff. Well, if you look when they do it, they kind of like scissor their legs, sit up, stop, scissor the legs, sit up, stop. Whereas with breaking, we have a movement called a tripod coin drop, which is kind of like you're almost doing a windmill on your head, but your head and your feet are on the floor, and then you go onto your back, and then your head and your feet, and it's a continuous motion. And I can do that whilst maintaining the momentum and the speed of the 9-section whip, so it never stops. Whereas with the older Kung Fu version, that the momentum of the chain whip actually stops for a moment and then it has to start again. Whereas I've been able to develop the movement where it just continues, so it's just all going in one motion.
Wow.
You know, it very much is.
I've already got about 500 questions. This is fascinating. But what I was going to say is, so that the continuous loop thing is, you were saying old school b-boy, but the thing that reminds me of it a little bit as well, are you into like juke and footwork and stuff? Because they do something with that kind of that progression of the old b-boy moves, but kind of a bit like more fluid and kind of keeping it going kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? It sounds very similar.
With the what footwork did you say? You cut out for a moment.
Oh, sorry, that happens sometimes. Yeah. No, you were saying you were into old school breakdancing and stuff as well. Are you into like juke and footwork?
Oh yeah, so you're so like Chicago
Yes.
like footwork and stuff and juke and stuff. Well, I actually, so when I started breaking, this is, you know, something that a lot of people don't know, but one of the I had to teach myself quite a lot, and then I guess my first, I mean, I was fortunate enough to go to Korea and get trained up by the world champions in Korea, but before that, I went to Detroit, Michigan, and I was trained up by a crew in Detroit called Dead. And they introduced me to Jitten, which is very similar to Chicago footwork, because Detroit and Chicago, they're not that far away from each other geographically. And so they're very distinct styles, but they focus on footwork based kind of movements and stuff like that, and have a lot of speed with it and things like that. But Jitten was inspired by like the jitterbug and other kind of movements like that. So there is, like I say, it has got its own unique style, but if you were to the untrained eye, they look like very, very similar, if that makes sense. Like there's even battles between Jitten and Duke artists. They go at it against each other and stuff. So Chicago Duke versus Detroit Jit, for example. But yeah, so in terms of the footwork stuff, like I did a little bit of Jitten while I was out in Detroit. And I've dabbled in a little bit of like, you know, Chicago footwork and juke, but also like a bit of jazz dancing from way back in the day, but not like I don't know, like Broadway style jazz, like more like London style, like UK jazz, where it has a lot of like fast footwork and stuff. Like my uncle, he taught me that from when I was like little. Like he used to, because I was born in Ipswich, and my uncle used to go down to London. And then he'd come back up and then he'd teach me the moves. And I was only like 3 or 4 years old. And he'd just teach me the moves and stuff back in the day. And it's kind of like, I couldn't formally remember them, but they were in my body where I'd just be able to bust out some jazz moves,
wow.
just naturally. But I think
is that the jazz funk scene? Is it, Nathan? Is that a jazz funk scene?
Yes.
Yeah. There's some heavy dancers in there.
That's right. Yeah.
Is there,
wicked.
Oh, yeah.
Is there like, because you're from up north as well, right? So is there like a northern soul kind of link there as well, right? Because all those people would have been doing some similar dancing back in the day, right?
Yeah, so with Northern Soul, so I actually didn't really come across Northern Soul until I'd say my mid to late 20s is when I come across Northern Soul, because I moved up to Chesterfield when I was 8, and then I went to university at Sheffield and pretty much just stayed up north, living in Sheffield and Rotherham. And there was an old school popper called Rubot, like rest in peace, he's passed now, but he used to come down and teach some of us some popping, some old school popping moves, along with another old school cat called MC9, who was kind of like responsible for teaching a lot of the younger breakers in the Sheffield area. But Rubot, Mark, he used to do a lot of Northern Soul, and he used to always talk about it. And then I was able to go to like a Northern Soul jam, and then I saw that there was a lot of overlap with the footwork and the floor work, especially from breaking. Obviously, there's still very distinct styles, but I think because I had such a strong, I guess a strong vocabulary of breaking, I was able to pick up the Northern Soul moves, quite quickly. But again, when I was doing Northern Soul, I was conscious of trying to look more like a Northern Soul dancer than a b-boy, because I wasn't there to like spin on my head forever. That's my b-boy circles. I was there to really try and soak up the culture and the movement style. And that's what I do wherever I go. So for example, I used to tour with a traditional Indian dance company that did like Kathak, and with them we looked at, okay, what are the similarities between hip hop and Kathak and traditional Indian dance and stuff like that. So for example, like they have a way of verbally notation the tabla drum, which is da da din da 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 rin da da da. Now that's just beatboxing, because beatboxing is just a verbal notation of the drum.
That's true.
And other instruments and stuff. So again, we were looking at very, what were the overlaps? Like, for example, in Kathak, you stand up and you spin with your hands up like this vertically. In breaking, you do that spin upside down on your hands. It's called a 2000, So again, I guess throughout my career, before I even got into filmmaking, I was always fascinated about learning different styles and different cultures and trying to get down to what is the essence of it. And then, okay, how can I apply the essence of it to my vocabulary, and how can I make it, become part of me in terms of what I do? And so, yeah, that's kind of like how I went about art forms. I even did contemporary dance. I was the associate artist at Yorkshire Dance in Leeds at one point for a few years. And then obviously I got into fire performing. My girlfriend, she taught me how to eat fire. And then from there, I just got a whole bunch of fire props. Like a lot of the weapons that I do, I actually learned with fire first before I learned the traditional stuff. So for example, rope dart, which is obviously a Chinese soft weapon. I actually learned that obviously unlit, but I didn't learn it with the blade first. I learned it with as a ball of fire, with a wick.
Oh.
So I obviously learned the basics with it unlit, and then I lit it, and then that was it. And it wasn't until like probably about 3 or 4 years later that I actually got a traditional Chinese rope dart with a blade on. But I learned it with fire first. Same with
it's not dangerous enough to learn how to throw a knife about attached to a rope. You got to set it on fire as well, yeah.
Yeah.
I should call you the original Fire Phoenix, Nathan. You're the Fire Phoenix, man.
Yeah, right.
That's your name,
that's
mate.
it, the Raging Phoenix.
That's right.
100%. Yeah, well, my daughter's named Phoenix as well, so there must be something in that. You know what I mean? So
cool.
Yeah, because my youngest, I named her Phoenix because, well, not just me and my partner, we named her Phoenix because we wanted her. One, it's just a badass name, but two, we wanted her to always, rise up, and become a better version of herself whenever she faces adversity and things like that in her life. Yeah. So she would always, become a better version of herself. So that's kind of like the reasoning behind her name. And obviously in a lot of kung fu movies, women are regarded as Phoenix as well.
And don't forget Double Phoenix as well.
Yeah, of course.
There you go, Crystal Fish. Yeah.
Did you say in there as well somewhere? Did you say something about going to Korea at a certain point? Did you mention Korea there? Yeah. What's all that about?
Yeah, so when I went to Korea, so this was like I said, I always did kung fu, but I didn't like. So I've always watched kung fu movies like from like young, always. But when I went to Korea, I literally this was at the point in my life where I was just focusing on breaking because when I studied kung fu, I probably was doing about I don't know 5 or 6 hours, maybe a bit more a day. I was just training my ass off as much as I could, you know. And then what happened was when I learned breaking, when I like discovered breaking a society, I then almost like not replaced the hours I did with kung fu for breaking, but I ended up doing breaking like 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. And I ended up getting that training effort from the Koreans because like I was doing a degree in psychology, but once I found out actually to get your mark, you didn't need to go to lectures. You just had to turn up to the seminars. I sacked off my lectures and just went to the seminars because they were just regurgitating the lecture notes on the intranet system. So I was like, well, what's the point of me just going to a lecture and seeing some geezer just read out what's already there? Yeah, I can read that myself in my own time. Let me get my ass down into the studio and practice spinning on my damn head. So that's kind of like what I've done really. So again, for me, and I was always like, I always said to myself, do you know what? With breaking, I have a shelf life in terms of how long I can do the high level moves, like the virtuosic moves. Like, I'm not gonna be able to do it into like my 70s and 80s to that high level. Whereas with Kung Fu, you get better as you get older, right? So with me, I was like, okay, so I know I'm always going to come back to Kung Fu. And I guess this is the filmmaking and everything that I'm doing is kind of like my return to Kung Fu now, I guess. I didn't realize it at the time, but that was it. So when I went to Korea purely to focus on breaking, and they were at the time, it must have been, I've been to Korea a couple of times for breaking. I think the first time must have been about 2005, 2006, I think. And I think I went again in 2008, I want to say. And when I was there, yeah, I was just learning off the world champions. I was fortunate enough to get plugged into the world champions because when I was, so after I finished my degree, I ended up just becoming a professional dancer, yeah. And so I ended up like touring internationally a lot with a dance company. And then in London, there's a big dance theatre called Sadler's Wells, and they have like some of the best dancers in the world and dance shows there. They also have a big hip hop theatre event called Breaking Convention. And so the guy that runs it, John Z, he was putting on a theatre show, and I was part of his cast member for that show. Yeah, John Z's wicked, man. Yeah, like he was my mentor for hip hop theatre. Like big respect to John Z. And then so with John's, he took me to Korea with him, and he basically plugged me into all the world champions because he was bringing them over for Breaking Convention and stuff. So that's kind of how that link came about. But obviously with Korea, they're a kicking nation, right? Because of all the Taekwondo and stuff. So they picked up power moves really easily and really quickly. And they were super clean because they knew about how to use their, total hip power, Hwang Jun Lee style, or like John Liu, like Tan Jiao Lang, they can kick. And so that's how they generate a lot of their power when they did the power moves. So, working with them, it really gave me an insight into work ethic. That's when I upped my training to like 8 hours a day. That was when I realized that, because there was one crew called Morning of Owl, and their crew name came from because they could only train together from midnight to 8 a.m. And so they train until the sun would come up, and that would be known around about the time period they were training, that'd be known as Morning of the Owl. So that's how they got their crew name. And then so when I made my own hip hop theater company, because everybody had jobs, like the only time we could train was from 8:30 at night to 4:30 in the morning. So that kind of that work ethic from Korea was kind of instilled in me for that. And it's kind of pushed over into everything I do, especially into my my filmmaking. I'm just so driven in terms of, if I need to get something done, I'm like a dog with a bone. I'm getting it done. Really. Yeah.
So how does the kung fu and the breaking turn into filmmaking? Because that's got to be a hard gig to get right. How did the door open to stuff like Black Creek and
plus as well, we should add into that for people who don't never been to the UK, for example. I think it's also worth noting that you're not London based, which makes kind of a big difference as well, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. So yeah, I'd always been of the opinion where it's like, okay, if I went down to London at the early stages of my career, for example, dance and stuff like that, I'd just be in a sea of 10,000 people, so it'd be harder to stand out. Whereas I could, make some noises, becoming the man in my own area, and then get to the point where London calls me, and that's exactly what happened. So that was it. It was much easier for me to kind of like stake my claim up here, stand out from the crowd, and then people from London to be like, oh wow. Whereas if you're in London, it's so competitive, and
yes,
the level is really high, but because there's so many people in for example, hip hop dance and stuff, you can get overlooked no matter how talented you are.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So there's only say like this much opportunity, but there's this many people,
Yeah.
Whereas up further up north, there may be like, this much opportunity and this much people, in terms of, well, not zero, but the same amount, so there's more opportunity. So what I'm getting at is you can capitalize on those opportunities and you can build off of that better, and you can shine.
It's not necessarily something. It's not like, oh, I'm not in that London, that I can't do this. It's like, no, let's use that to your advantage, right? And like you said, time is limit. Like you can grow up to be an old Sam the Seed character in Kung Fu, but in breaking, you can only be Boogaloo Shrimp for a certain amount of time, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we can still, breakers in our 40s and 50s, we can still do some really virtuosic stuff, but compared to what we can do in our like mid-20s, it's a different ball game. It's a different ball. Like I was literally like flying in my, like when I was 27, that was my physical peak in terms of breaking. I was flying. I was like one of the few people in the UK that could do like multiple air flares, which is a really high level breaking. Now all the kids are doing it in China and Korea and that stuff. But back in the day in the UK, I was one of the only guys, probably about 10 of us in the whole country.
Wow.
That could do stuff. And then, I was really focused on like blow ups and power, even though my strongest suit was always musicality. But for me, that came easy. So I was like, oh, what a challenge. So I was always drawn to the dynamics of stuff. So that was why I was like, well, yeah, like, because everyone used to say, oh, you're tall for a power mover. I'm like, yeah, I am, but I love it. You know what I mean? So, that was my thing. I probably would have gotten further in breaking if I'd have just focused on music and style and footwear, but for me I was just like, I love power, so I'm just gonna do that as well. But yeah, so that was kind of like where I was at in terms of geographically. I pretty much what it's, but like doing that, like I said, it enabled me to stand out and get noticed and be able to create my own opportunity. So with the film stuff, with Kung Fu and breaking, like I create my own opportunities is how that came about. Like when I literally started, because I've been doing obviously Kung Fu all my life, breaking over 20 years, and then like fire I'd been doing for a couple of years. And it's all Cynthia Rothrock's fault, because when she gave me that private lesson on the side of a motorway by a hotel, like it was literally, she said to me, "You're good," and I was like, I used to watch this woman as a child, man.
Wow.
So when she turned around and saying, you're good, because she said to me, "Oh, you're good. Do you ever get out to the States?" And I was like, "I haven't been since the pandemic." And so she was just like, "Oh, if you get out to the States, I'll put you in my movie," which was Black Creek. So
how did you get there? How did you get to the motorway with Cynthia Rothrock? How did that happen?
Okay. to rewind a bit. Yeah. So basically, in like Doncaster, which is not far from where I live. So I live in Rotherham. Doncaster is probably about a 20-minute drive. They have this big national martial arts event called the UK Martial Arts Show. And they bring legends over. I didn't even know this show existed. I really didn't even know. And then somehow online, I just saw that Cynthia Rothrock was going to be at the UK Martial Arts Show. And she's going to be doing like seminars before that. at a few places. And one of the places was in Sheffield. So I was like, oh wow, like, you know, Sheffield's down the road from me. I'm going to go to that. But when I got there, I'd arrived late because I had to do some work beforehand. So I missed her class. But you know, obviously fanboyed it up, got a signed DVD, all that kind of thing, and then left. Well, went into my car and I was like, what the hell are you doing? Like the Queen of Hong Kong. And like, check this out. So that conversation I had with myself when I said, I want to be Jackie Chan and do filmmaking, that was 1 week before. And then, so the following week, went down there and I was sat in the car and I was like, what the hell are you doing? You know, you love Hong Kong style action. That's what you want to be doing. And the Queen of Hong Kong action is in there. Get your ass back in there and ask her for a private lesson. So that's what I did. I asked her for a private lesson. And she, you know, she said, oh, well, I'm quite busy, but we'll see if we can make it work. And then a few days later, she said, oh, yeah, if you can get to this hotel, which was on the motorway near kind of like between like Birmingham and like Tamworth, like that way. So as if you can get there, then we'll do a private lesson. So I was like, okay, of course I'm going to go. So I went. I think that happened on the. I think that as her class was on the Tuesday, and then I had the private lesson was on the Thursday, I think it was. And then, yeah, it was on the Thursday, and like we went to the hotel, but they had no spare rooms. So she's like, okay, we'll just go out in the grass and do it. And pretty much by the side, you know, because you see cars just bustling past and things like that. So yeah,
it would have been cooler if it was actually on the motorway, but
yeah. Yeah,
it's like on the hard shoulder.
Now I'm starting to figure out, Darren, why you've just been hit by a car recently.
yeah, right. That's why I've got that limp forever.
I was chasing Cynthia Rothrock
down the motorway.
That's it.
Yeah.
Wanting a private lesson.
Yeah.
So
for Nathan, for the benefit of the viewers and Nathan, who wasn't here when we mentioned it, I broke my leg a couple of weeks ago. So.
Oh really?
Yeah, I was run over by a car.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, context. Yeah, that didn't come out of nowhere. Yeah.
Wow, crikey! Are you all right now? Then in terms of how's the recovery going?
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah. I've got metal, you know, surgery. I'm on crutches. I'll be on crutches for a long time, but in theory, I'll be back to normal in about 3 or 4 months.
Hey, perfect time to learn to walk on your hands. Perfect time.
Well, the other thing as well, I was thinking about the confluence of the breaking, the martial arts, the filmmaking.
Yep.
I'm thinking in Nathan's near future, there's got to be a remake of Ninja 3: The Domination. Which is
with
one of the best.
Yeah.
Lucinda Dickey, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I saw that a couple of years ago again. Because I watched it as a kid. I was young, and that used to scare me, that film. When I was a little kid. But yeah, I watched it a couple of years ago again because I was like, I need to find that film, man. Because obviously it's always good to watch something, with new eyes. Because obviously you feel a certain way about a film when you're a kid, and then as you get older, you have a different understanding or different levels of awareness. So it can impact you like differently. So yeah, so it was great to see. It didn't scare me no more, but yeah,
I think a lot of people were given an early fetish for vegetable juice. After that.
Definitely. Yeah. So sorry, just try and come back to the breaking and martial arts and everything in the past. So what happened was after that, I then, because I was still always going to go to UK martial arts show, which was on the Saturday. So Tuesday I'd met for the first time. Thursday I got trained up. By Saturday I'd gone to the UK martial arts show, and so I'm at the UK martial arts show. Obviously, blown away seeing all these legends like Bill Superfoot Wallace and things, and like they give shows and demonstrations on a big main stage. And I'd brought my rope dart with me. Like rope dart is my favorite weapon. Like, I love rope dart, and I had rope dart with me. And I was just messing around with it. And then a guy called Jan, who's a very good friend of mine now. So Jan, like because we did a workshop with Cynthia doing fight choreography, and me and him were partners. And then I was just towards the end of the day, I was
The
just
workshop wasn't in a little chef car park, was it? It was
not this one.
No,
No,
okay,
not
okay,
the
okay.
nah, this is in a Doncaster Dome. The
Oh, okay, good.
yeah. And then so I was just messing around with my rope dart, and Jan said to me, "You should be doing that on that stage." I was like, "Really?" I was like, "I can do that," and he's like, "Yeah, why don't you go and ask?" I was like, "All right." So I went over and I asked Paul, who ran it, because it's run by Paul Barnett and Bob Sykes. Obviously, Bob used to be the editor for, I think it was like Martial Arts Illustrated, that magazine back in the day. And so, yeah, I asked them, and they were like, "Well, have you got any music with you?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah." And he's like, "Well, nobody's on stage now, so yeah, go on then." So that's kind of like what I did. I went on stage, and they kind of like did, my breakthrough style with rope dart, so doing windmills with rope dart wrapped around my leg and spinning on my head with all that kind of stuff. And that was it. They've had me back every year. So that was kind of that, really. So then when we came to training, well, for going to the States for Black Creek, I was like, okay, I'm going to train my ass off. I mean, I wasn't, billed to do any fight scenes or anything, but I was like, you just got to be ready, And I was like, while I'm out there, I'm going to see if I can do some fight stuff with somebody. So I was just training every day. And the way I had to train myself was because obviously Cynthia gave me the tools, but I didn't have anybody to train with at that moment in time. So my eldest daughter, I basically taught her screen fighting. We just get my phone and just prop it up on the windowsill, and then we just be at different angles and stuff, and then just seeing kind of like what hits stacked, what angle we need to be at. And that's how I learned. Really, I learned screen fighting to hone my skill through my daughter. And then from there was another guy called Kevin Lee, who he's actually quite a big star in China, like an actor. He's from the UK though. He's just been in that Dongjiang or Dongji rescue film that's just come out recently in the cinema. But he taught me some screen fighting as well when he was over in the UK. So then I must craft a bit more with him, and then I started to train up my own stunt team. And the first place I went to was B-Boys, because I was just like, for me, breakers are the ultimate stunt performers. It's not trickers. It's not even martial arts guys. It's breakers in terms of stunts, because we have to fall in every single position. Our bodies have so much contact with the ground. We're jumping, we're throwing ourselves on the ground. We're not trying to land on our feet. We're trying to land on our back. Okay, so yeah, so for me, breakers, they were the ultimate like stunt performers. So the first place I went to was my breaking crew and the people that I trained with, and see if anybody wanted to try this new breakthrough style that I was developing. But I also, went and also recruited martial artists and trickers as well, because again, then I have a well-rounded stunt team that could do incredible flips and somersaults. Because the thing about trickers is they've got guts, and people that do parkour, like their guts are on another level in terms of what they'll try out, so they can definitely bring like the daredevil side of stuff, let's say, out. And they can take care of the aerial stuff. The breakers take care of the ground-based stuff and the impacts. The trickers can take care of the aerial stuff, even though breakers do a lot of flips and somersaults as well. But the trickers and the guys that do parkour, that's their specialism. And then obviously martial artists, because they have good form and technique as well. So that was kind of like what I did. I kind of like set about teaching fighting techniques, and I just watched to try out some concepts. And then when it came to making a short film, so before that, like about 4 years ago, like 2020, I'd made my first short film. I say it had nothing to do with breaking, but it actually did have a fire rope dart in it. So I mean martial arts, but it had a fire rope dart in it, and I was doing breaking. I was actually doing a form of breakthrough, now I think about it, within that, and that was really successful. That won a few awards, that film. And then I did another short film, but that was about me just fire eating, and it kind of like touched on like fire eating and mental health and stuff like that. And I did that probably about a month or two before I decided that I'm going to go fully into like martial arts filmmaking. And then so the first martial arts film that I made wasn't even supposed to be a film. It was supposed to be a proof of concept. It was supposed to be let me just see if this combining fire and breaking and martial arts can work. So I know people have combined fire in martial arts. I know people combined breaking and martial arts. I never seen anybody combine fire breaking and martial arts. So I was like, so let me see if I can, do that. Call it fire breaking. So I did a concept with a fire sword, a rope dart, and fire eating, and then I edited the shots together and stuff, and I was like, the fight scenes turned out so good. I was like, I've got to make this into a short film. I've got to make it into a short film. So, but then I had to fly to the States to do Black Creek and some other stuff. So I went to the States with those fight scenes edited, but that was it, no film, just the fight scenes. And I decided, like, if I'm going to go to the States, I'm going to make it worth my while. I'm not just going to go for 3 days on set at the Mescal movie set in Benson, Arizona. I was like, I'm going to go and do some other places. So I tied it in with some work. Like, I do a lot of kind of like consultation, or like I deliver kind of like talks around kind of like hip hop and accessibility, because in another life I pioneered a lot of stuff in terms of like, how to enhance accessibility for people with disabilities through hip hop culture. So I went to LA and did a talk at the Global Hip Hop Conference, and I went to Texas State University and did a keynote speech for there. So I made it work for me within that context. But I also went to other places before. Before, the first place I touched down in was LA, and I've been talking to Eric Jacobus.
I've heard of that.
Yeah. Sorry. The first place I went to was Vegas. Vegas was the first place I went to.
Oh, Vegas. Oh, okay.
Yeah, my bad. Yeah, Vegas was the first place I went to. Spoke to Eric Jacobus, and he mentioned that I should maybe connect with a guy called Philip Sagan. So I met up with Eric. I met with Philip, and then he's the one that kind of was running the Jackie Chan stunt cap stuff. And so, he said, "Oh, you should," because I showed them my fight scenes. And so they'd seen it, and I asked for feedback. I was like, I'm new to this game. I'm wanting, feedback. Can you kind of like give me your thoughts? So they gave me their feedback and everything. And then Philip was like, yeah, you should, think about, applying to go to the JC stunt camp. I think it'd be really beneficial for you. So I was like, okay. And then from there, I went to LA. And when I was in LA, I met Andy Cheng. He was obviously part of Jackie's stunt team, but also the fight choreographer for like Shang-Chi and Rush Hour and all that kind of stuff. So Andy was pretty much saying the same thing. Yeah, I think you should definitely go and apply for that. So did the whole selection process, got in, and then went to Beijing the following year. So this is all within, I guess, the first year of me saying, oh, I want to be Jackie Chan. And then that's how it kind of like got to that point. And then but when I got back from the States, I then shot, like a couple of weeks later, I shot the dialogue scenes for that short film that I was talking about. And the issue I had was, because the fight scenes, they were all in the same place and I was fighting the same people. So I was like, how the hell can I make a story out of this? So, it was very much, okay, it was almost like, okay, let's make it about these three gangsters who are telling tall stories, different versions of the same story in terms of how they heard it from this guy in terms of what happened. So did that.
Russian style.
Yeah, exactly. And then edited it finished editing it in January, put it out to film festivals in February, and then a year later it won 38 awards, I think, like, internationally. So it did really, really well. And then I did another one because a skydiver got in touch with me, and he was just like, "You ever thought about doing a fight scene for skydivers?" And I was like, "Well, I'm thinking about it now." So a month later, doing fight choreography for skydivers for real, like no CGI or nothing. That went on to win a bunch of awards and stuff. And then, so I was starting to get a bit of a name for myself whilst doing these kinds of things, then doing some Hong Kong style fight scenes as well. And then I decided, right, if I want to pay the bills with this, I can't do short films, because it's hard to, monetize short films and generate an income off it. So again, I was like always having to learn the business of filmmaking while I was learning filmmaking. So then that's how I got into making my first feature film, which was The Lock-In. So shot that started off being shot it was first days we shot was October 2024. And I was fortunate enough to have Keith Vitale want to be part of that production, and Jeff Pruitt, who was the fight choreographer for Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Power Rangers. So they came on board and they helped me out. Absolutely so grateful for both of those guys. So that was brilliant. And then I had Hajun, who was the leader of Jackie Chan's stunt team, giving me kind of like insights on how to do like wire work in depth via Zoom, utilizing a lanyard and a cigar for like pick points in terms of showing, okay, well, if you put the wire here, this is where the weight's going to be. If you put it here, okay, if you want to do, okay, what if I want to do this type of movement where I want them to like, you know, spin and like do like a butterfly twist, and he'd be like, okay, so then you have to wrap the wire around like this, and then so when you pull, it goes. So he was doing all, you know, full-on explanations with a cigar and a lanyard, and that was a really surreal way to learn in-depth wire work. So between him and then having Jeff stunt coordinate the wire work on the day as well, that we shot in Atlanta, and I was able to have my brothers and sisters that I trained with in Beijing to be a part of of my film when I did the Atlanta shoot. So that was really special. And then from there, I then carried on shooting the film in the UK from the beginning of January, and we did it like mainly on like weekdays and stuff. But I think the overall shoot was about 35 days in total, on a tiny budget. But we made magic. I somehow got a 2.5 hour film out of it. But I was like, oh great, the distributors, they want like 90 minutes. And so I was gutted, so having to be really ruthless and having to cut certain things. And yeah, it was really tough, like to choose what to cut, but to keep it like cohesive. So there's going to be like, I guess, an uncut bootleg version as well that will come out at some point as well. So, you know, fall along with the time code on the bottom and everything, all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So
The French edition, yeah? Full French edition.
Yeah. And you'll get to see like, you know, extra scenes, because there's some montage sequences that we do, but some of those montage sequences are actually scenes within their own right. So in the longer version, you'll get to see the full the full dialogue and the full scene with it as well and stuff. So yeah, so just been finishing up with that. So at the moment, it's with the color grader, who's just, you know, trying to give it not trying, he's giving it a beautiful color grade where it's going to have an old school feel. So it actually looks like it's being shot on film, you know, rather than being shot digital. So yeah, we're giving, you know, it's got that grain to it and everything as well. So we're really kind of like trying to make it nostalgic, I guess. You know, we've got old school kung fu sound effects in it as well, and it's kind of like, how do I bring like old school shapes into kind of like modern fighting text and things like that. So that's kind of like how we're doing it. So there'll be something for modern day fighters, but there'll also be something for the shapes enthusiasts. And I learned a lot doing it, and I can't wait to do my next pure old school kung fu film, because I feel like the level's here and the level's going to be like there now, because I learned so much in terms of
say what you like.
Angle, shot.
Say what you like about Nathan. Should you bump into him any point, he might spill your pint, he might kick the back of your chair in the theatre or something, but lazy is not the word that will ever be used, I think.
No, not at all.
How are you getting on with distribution for the lock-in as well? Is that sorted, or is that something you have to ship around?
Yeah, well, this is it. So I like I said, I've been learning the business of filmmaking as I've been doing, as I've been going on in filmmaking. So the first thing I did was I made a sizzle reel before I went to this, because I've been, from the first time I went to the States, and the next year I had to go to the States again to Austin Action Film Festival, so Austin, Texas. I went to the Action Film Festival there, fortunate enough to win an award, but then it was relatively close to Atlanta, and I was seeing my Jackie Chan stunt camp family. They were based in Atlanta, so I was going to go over to Atlanta, and Keith was in Atlanta, Keith Vitale. So that's how I connected with Keith, and then basically it's a
major filmmaking hub now, isn't it, Atlanta? Maybe for the past like decade or something, it's become almost like Hollywood East kind of.
Big time. It's starting to overtake Hollywood. You know, they say Hollywood's on its way out now, and you know, Vegas and Atlanta, they're like the new places.
Well, you keep seeing that like Apple sign for Georgia, don't you, on the back, on the film credits, don't you? You know.
Yeah. They get a lot of tax breaks, right? I'm guessing.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, exactly that. So when I started traveling, so because I've traveled quite a lot, yeah, I was always trying to go to places to see, okay, well, how will I go about getting my film distributed and things. So I went to American Film Market. I made a sizzle reel of the lock-in before we started shooting the actual film. So I made the sizzle reel of the lock-in, went to American Film Market to kind of like see what the lie of the land was with them and things. So they're like, okay, well, it looks great, but it's too early a stage, you're not even made the film yet, so we can't, and there's not big named actors in, so we can't give you like a minimum guarantee or anything until we see the film. So I was like, okay, great. So then on that same trip, that's when I started shooting the film. And then from there, the next one I went to was Hong Kong Film Art in March last year. So went there, kind of like see what the lie of the land was. Obviously fortunate enough to meet a load of Hong Kong legends while I was out there and things. Again, I had a trailer that was in post-production, and they're saying, yeah, the trailer looks good. But again, until we need to see a screener. So I'm like, okay, so I need to go back with the full film. So this is kind of like where we're at now. The film's complete, and it'll be fully complete by hopefully the end of February. Like the color grade should hopefully be finished by the end of January. Shout out to Paul Hanley for doing that. Absolutely incredible color grader. And then the sound will be hopefully done by the end of February. So then I'll be able to start to travel again internationally, because then the next one I wanted to was Cannes film festival and things, and like again I've got a lot of interest there as well. So going back this year, I'll be going equipped. If I can, I'm going to go with I'm going to try and put it into Cannes Film Festival if the film's complete in time. Whether or not it will get accepted is a different story, but I can try. But even if not, I can still travel with the film screener to Cannes and go to distributors and say, well, here's a screener for it, check it out, and then try and drum up a deal that way as well. But if nobody bites that way, and this is something that got way up as well, because there's a lot of shysters out there in terms of distributors. Like they rinse you for your money. So for example, like they'll take, say, like an 80-20 split where you get 80% of the money, but what they'll do is they'll have expenses around about 15 grand. So they take that first before you see a penny, and then they have an 80-20 on top of that. Or some will just, if you don't cap their expense, they'll just keep spending and spending and spending, so you don't get nothing. And they'll, they can sign some contracts last 15 years, so you can't do nothing with your film. And if they, and it's all about if and they could be like, oh, do you know what, I can't be asked to sell it after year 3 or year 1, or like once they got their expenses back, they may not even have an incentive to to want to keep going. So it's really tricky to try and navigate who's sincere and who are the sharks out there. Literally swimming with a whole sea full of sharks. So there's that, or there's going through a distribution platform like Film Hub, which with them it's 80-20 split. They don't have no upfront expenses, even though that's starting to change now, where they're having I think you have to pay $999 for a year now or something. But like basically it goes on there, and then they sell it on to other licenses. They license it to other platforms. Like Tubi and like kind of like Amazon Prime and Apple and all that kind of stuff. Obviously with the budget level of the production value of this film, it wouldn't be able to make the cut for, say, like something like Netflix, I don't think. But it can definitely be something that can get distributed really well, and basically act as a showcase and say, okay, well, this is what can be done within that kind of context. So that's kind of like where I'm at with those film with the lock-in. So it's just about kind of like traveling to those film markets again now with the finished product, and now I can have a very different conversation with them all and stuff. And obviously taking all the learning from the year before, I can see, okay, right, well, I can improve on, say, like the trailer, or I can improve on like the copy, or even go and see if I can get like an ad in a trade magazine out in these film markets as well. So there's been a steep learning curve and a lot to learn, but day by day we're getting closer and closer. And then I was I also directed 2 horror films last year as well. So last year
of course you did, because you weren't busy enough.
Yeah, I directed obviously I hadn't directed a feature film before last year, and then I did the lock-in, and then I was given the opportunity to direct two horror films, but they were on very, very tight budgets that I was given, and under very, very kind of like short time frames.
So are you a horror guy too?
Yeah, I love horror
I
films.
didn't know about the horror films.
Yeah, 80s horror. I grew up watching. I mean, like,
Yeah.
these films, like, I think,
Like I said, Ninja 3, The Domination, it all makes sense.
yep, 100%. You wait and see what I'm gonna do with horror, because these ones, they were kind of like me, okay, seeing what can be done within the super limited parameters that I had, and like, I know I can do so much better. And so when it's on my own time, in terms of my own production and my, because I didn't produce only direct, and so my hands were tied on a lot of things. But with my own production, I now see what can be done. And all I'm saying is, you wait till because I've launched my production company now, so I can start literally producing my own films. So just about,
because you had a 5-minute break between breakfast and training with someone on the hard shoulder and going over to somewhere to do
it was just
he
was making a cup of tea, the kettle hadn't boiled
yet.
He came up with a production company. Fully
He's
funded.
He's just passionate, mate.
Staffed.
Yeah, I don't even think about it like that. I guess it's quite a bit in it. I'll just keep going. I'll just try to add to momentum and just try to push forward.
Oh, it's brilliant. It's admirable. I was going to say as well that at the very, very least, if you get no other mileage out of it, you can go the IFD route, get Lucinda Dickey out of retirement and splice in some get her dressed in like a bright magenta ninja costume or something.
Yeah, definitely. I then get her to wear some spandex as well and a headband and stuff. She'll be.
Ninja 4 the prequel. Yeah.
That's it. Preparing for domination.
So right, let's corral this in, because clearly we could talk to Nathan all day long. And actually, I just realized as well. Thank you for coming on, because you've taken the time. Otherwise, I assume you would have started another production company or started to learn some of the skill or something.
He could have got a fucking Oscar by now.
Time with us. This is cool.
Oh yeah. My time is precious, guys. Yeah. Obviously, we're going to take time out to talk about my passions, which is kung fu movies and stuff.
That, like we said, we could talk all day about all that, and that would be fascinating, and we might do that another time as well, right? But specifically, you're here today to talk about a couple of films that you chose that you wanted to talk about. This is quite interesting as well. One of these I'd never seen before, and it was quite the revelation to me, I have to say. So what are the two films that you decided to, I mean, of all the things, what are the two you decided you wanted to come and talk to us about then, Nathan?
Yeah, well, I figured, like, a lot of people, they always go for like the usual suspects in terms of films to talk about, in terms of like, stuff. And I was like,
that's a shit kung fu film, The Usual Suspects.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. What was it? Was it Kevin Spacey that's in that one?
Yeah.
But so I just wanted something that was just a bit different, rather than having, people talk about similar films all the time. I was like, okay, well, let's have something that's a bit of a different talking point.
Yeah.
And I loved, as a kid, I loved Shaolin, like Shaolin kung fu movies and stuff. I actually went to Shaolin Temple as well, and won a kung fu competition there, but it wasn't a proper kung fu competition. You just had to emulate what a monk did, and then I did it the best. So, but
So you went to Shaolin, and the monk bowed down before you, said, "Sorry, mate, I can't teach you nothing."
No, he tried to mess me up. What he did, he actually tried to mess me up, that guy. But basically, so like I'd gone there, and this was when I was fully into breaking. So I went to Korea, and then while I was there, I was like, oh, let me go to China, because I love kung fu and I love Chinese culture. Let me go to China. So it was the first time I ever went to China, and I think that was about 2008, 2009. So I went to China, and then went to Shaolin Temple. And yeah, like I said, they had a bit of a kung fu competition there and stuff.
Sorry to interrupt. When you go to Shaolin Temple, I like to think that do you ring like as a doorbell, and it goes like the chime goes like Buddha bless you, Buddha bless you. But do you ring on a bell or do you knock on a door? What do you do when you go to
You have
Shaolin
to stay on your knees for like 3 weeks before they let you in the rain.
Yeah.
That's what you have to
Yeah.
do. So yeah,
In
you
the
have to
rain
be
as well.
booking up
Yeah.
for your trip. No book, no accommodation. You're just kneeling. But yeah, so went there, and like it was quite surreal, the experience going to Shaolin. Just because like you would go, like you'd look out at the fields like surrounding Shaolin, and you would just see like literally fields full of children doing unison forms. Like
Wow.
it was quite incredible. I never would have thought, like thousands of kids I'm talking about. You literally just look out to the hillsides, and there was just kids just training.
Where was specifically in China? Where was the temple?
Zhengzhou. It was a North Shaolin I went to. So I went to North Shaolin.
Okay.
And yeah, when we were there, like I said, there was a competition. So they got people to go up on stage, and everybody got assigned a monk. And I was the only like Western guy that kind of like was up there at that point, I guess. And so I went over to my monk, all happy and smiley. I was like, "I am," and he just literally just went. Looked at me like I weren't shit and said something to his mate in Mandarin, and so everybody got like, ha ha ha. I got yeah, and I was like, what? So I did, boom, did the same thing, and then the audience all went, whoa, and the monk was like really surprised, and he did a backflip, and I was like, this motherfucker, I ain't done one of these in years, and then I hit a backflip. And I basically just nailed all the stuff that he did. And then so from there, they kind of like said that I won. And then afterwards, he was like, yeah, your movement is very good. And I was like, oh, thank you. So I guess I kind of like earned his respect.
Please tell me the end of the story is like no retreat, no surrender, 5 or whatever. And did you teach all the monks how to sing the summertime blues?
I wish. Nah, I just got paparazzi and a kiss on the cheek by one of the guys, and that was it. So that was it. But what was really surreal about that is like it was strange seeing, like I remember seeing a monk on a mobile phone dressed in traditional robes. That was a very strange sight, because obviously before that I'd only ever seen, monks in traditional robes in ancient China in the movies, right?
Right. Not an iPhone.
Yeah. Literally seeing this geezer just jabbering away, this monk in traditional regalia, and he's like there just jabbing away on the phone like it's nothing. I'm like, okay, that's really a case of modern meets ancient there. So that was quite surreal. But yeah, that was my experience, Shaolin. So sorry, I digressed from the original question, which was, so the 2 films I chose. I love like Shaolin movies, Shaolin themed movies growing up. And so with the 2 films I'd chosen, one is Shaolin Temple. It's got a bunch of names, like Shaolin Temple 2 is what I first knew it by. It was also
okay. That's interesting.
Shaolin Temple 4.
Yeah.
Also,
4.
Also Shaolin Strikes Back. So like I've probably got other names, but those are the 3 names. But the original name I knew it by was Shaolin Temple 2. And so I was always wondering if that was supposed to be the sequel to the Shaw Brothers one with Fu Sheng and the whole host of star-studded
Check One Tie and
all those guys. Obviously it wasn't, but as a little kid, that was the only other Shaolin Temple I knew. So I didn't even know about Jet Li's Shaolin Temple at this point when I seen this film.
Well, it's interesting you say the Shaolin Temple 2 thing as well. So because I was curious, because the print of this we watched, it comes up as Shaolin Temple 4 at the beginning, and I was kind of wondering, well, it's obviously from wherever this was released, is trying to put into some kind of. So I asked our mate Toby, and he was this print we watched. It's from the UK release, or an UK release, and it was retroactively retitled, yes, to be the 4th one after the 3 Jet Li Shaolin Temple. But he was saying to me as well that originally they did try to put it out as Shaolin Temple 2, but then there was something else called that, so they had to put the 4 in it. So where are you familiar with it as Shaolin Temple 2 then, Nathan?
Like mid-80s. Like, so when I used to get it out on VHS from the video shop, It was always Shaolin Temple 2. It had the cover was a guy. I think it's the same cover as what's on Shaolin Strikes Back, where SHAOLIN is there with the staff jumping in the holding stuff.
Yeah.
It just said like Shaolin Temple 2 in like big curved. I think it was big curved letters up like that.
Yeah.
Was that VPD? Was it?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. Obviously, I was really, like I say, really little. I think the first time I watched it, I must have been about 4 or 5 years old, maybe. But yeah, I love that film. Absolutely love it. So it was that one, and then the other film was Little Hero of Shaolin, which
was new to me and most interesting. It's funny when again, of all the things you could have chosen, I mean, they're both really interesting. But watching that, then I was like, I like this Nathan fella. Because he chose something fucking bananas. That thing is off the hooks. It takes a little while, but then you're like, what now? Yeah, we'll get that. That's
there's a fucking undead Ricky Chentinchi in it. What more do you want?
Yeah. Had you seen it before, Darren? That one?
No, I hadn't seen the Little Hero before. I'd seen Shaolin Temple Strikes Back.
Yeah, I've only watched it once, that one, before. And that was years ago. I couldn't remember.
Right. Well, we'll get there. It's interesting enough. But let's backtrack to So Shaolin Temple or Shaolin Kung Fu or Shaolin Temple 2 or Shaolin Temple Strikes Back. What I was struck by when Nathan mentioned doing it, I was like, oh yeah, cool. I haven't seen that for a while. And I think for you and me, Darren, at least, I think this was one of those things. I can't remember who put it out, but when we were getting into Kung Fu fandom, like mid to late 90s. I remember Shaolin Temple Strikes Back coming out, and it was like a little bit of a lost classic kind of thing.
I think, wasn't it one of the Brooklyn Zoo ones? Wasn't it one of the American
it might have been.
That came out on, I think, yeah.
And I just remember us being introduced to it, like, because we were new into this stuff, and I remember it and we had no context, so we just, we took it for granted, and we watched it, and we thought, that's great. And then kind of forgot about it.
Just moved on then.
Yeah, and I assumed it would be like, when you mentioned it, I was like, that should be easy to find. Like, at the very least, someone will have put it up on YouTube or something, because it seems
it's not online at all, is it?
Perennial classic. No, and then I was like, this is nowhere. I was quite surprised how this has slightly weirdly slid into obscurity.
You can't find a subtitle version online either.
Yeah. No. I think I've got the DVD subtitle version up in the attic somewhere, but it's hard to find. Yeah. It's rare, man.
Yeah. No, I had the same thing as you, Clive. I thought piece of piss. They're both fairly well known and at least DVD released,
right?
Sort of Taiwan Madness titles, aren't they? And there'll be a disc somewhere, or there'll be an upload on YouTube, but there's fuck all, and I didn't happen to own it.
Yeah, it's quite an odd. So I'm wondering if a lot of people might not have, people who have just got into fandom more recently might not have seen it. Which is a bit of a shame, because it is a bit of a minor gem, I think, is whatever we're calling it. I always think of it as Shaolin Temple Strikes Back, but and it's also one of those ones. I think the official release date, if you look it up, is 83, but I think this is actually an 81 film, I think. And I'm not sure where I picked that up from, but I think from a Toby interview.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna try and work it out with how old Mark Long looks in it, but Mark Long looks different in every
film. Yeah, we've talked about it. Mark Long is like, he's So both of these films were in Taiwan. Was that a conscious decision on your part to do a couple of Taiwanese films, or?
Yeah, definitely. Because I think, again, with Kung Fu movies, like a lot of people, they normally want to go to Hong Kong, but there's so many like gems that came out of Taiwan and like Korea and stuff like that. But
Taiwan,
again,
definitely.
So I really wanted to, like I say, just do something that was just a bit different from what other people may
Yeah.
be the usual go-to. I always try to throw something a little bit different in there.
Yeah. Oh no, you're in the right place. There's a lot of love for Taiwan on this show because we like it. We like it a bit bonkers. And,
Yeah.
they always
Yeah, but somehow, we're also the show that's never done a single Jackie Chan film. We've been how long have we been going? 5 years.
Yes.
And we haven't done it.
No.
I'm not wrong there, am I? We haven't. Oh, yes,
no, we
have.
haven't. But we have done. What's that? I always get the title Mantis
We did
Fist and
Heart of
Tiger
Dragon.
Claws of Shaolin, the one with the praying mantis monster.
Oh, John Chang.
Yeah.
John Chang one.
Yeah.
That film's insane.
Yeah,
Of course
it
we've
is.
done that.
film.
Of course, we've done the murder mystery kung fu
Insect film. Yeah.
monster movie film. Of course, we've done it.
And Dean Shecker's a villain.
Yeah.
Yes.
And a
Also,
good
one
one
of the
as
few
well.
one of the few shows that has love for Dean Sheck.
Mm.
Yeah. We will hear nothing against Dean Sheck said on this show.
DJ's brilliant, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a nutty character. I love him.
Yeah.
There we go. I think Nathan's on the right show here.
Yeah.
He is, yeah.
No, it was a massive treat to get into the proper Taiwan madness, and it's we kind of hit the sweet spot with kind of when these were made, haven't we? Like 81, 82, 84.
Yeah, good.
That's
good era.
we're in the era of Robert Tai and Lucifer Lee and Alan Choi, and
We've made this analogy. I don't know if we've ever done this on the show actually, but we've made this analogy before, haven't we, Darren? Before, like, it's a strange one, but everyone agrees that the early classic episodes of Ren and Stimpy, where John Kay was still involved, there's no doubt those are the classics.
Yeah.
But when some of the later Ren and Stimpy shows, they give you a run for your money in terms of just weirdness.
Yeah.
And that's kind of early to mid 80s Taiwanese stuff, right?
Yeah.
Absolute madness.
But that is Taiwan anyway, though, right? Because you think, Taiwan was bonkers in the 80s. Well, also, I refer you also to the 70s. Do you know what I mean? And for all I know, the 60s, because I don't know much about Taiwan.
Well,
in the 60s,
that's the thing. A lot of it's missing as well. That's the other thing, right?
Yeah, true. Yeah.
But anyway, yes, Shaolin Temple's Aspect, Joseph Kuo.
Yeah.
Another.
Well, that's the other reason. That's the other reason I'm flummoxed that this is obscure.
Yes. Yes.
Because Joseph Kuo Kung Fu, you would think it would be much more available.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, I'm guessing maybe is because we've had a box set. Is it maybe something about going chronologically? Maybe so. Maybe they're revving up to get to this era at some point, or
but I think that was just the Mayar releases anyway, wasn't it? The was it Mayar? Yeah, the Joseph Kuo box. It was just the stuff that you could get on Mayar back in the kind of 90s, 2000s. But well, fingers crossed someone will bring another Kuo box out and.
Oh yeah, I mean this would be perfect. A second box this era of
yes. I'm gonna have to put a clip on this. I'm gonna have to put a clip out there, mate.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah,
do a little showcase on it. Yeah, why not?
So the plot is simplicity itself, really. It's and they both these films kind of have the same plot actually to a certain degree. It's basically Ming royalty needs to be protected from the Manchu.
Yeah.
And Shaolin Temple becomes a refuge. I mean, that is plot-wise, really.
By the way,
right?
I mean, another deliberate reason why I chose them as well. For that reason as well.
Right.
I talk about.
There isn't as much infanticide in this one as the next one, to be fair. But there's not so much casual child death.
Also, it only just struck me as well. Both films, despite being from Taiwan in the early 80s, I don't think there was anyone getting pissed on. in either of
No,
these,
there
which
wasn't
that's
actually.
unusual.
No.
That is
Yeah.
I went for
unusual.
Taiwan. Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
if there's a monster involved, then maybe piss comes as part of the package or something. So there's nothing
Yeah,
super.
some
Well,
sea
there's
monster.
actually there is kind of
Yeah.
supernatural stuff in the second one. Anyway,
Yeah.
yes. So when would you have first seen this one then, Nathan? You were saying, did you say 4 years old or was that?
I must have been 4 or 5 years old. So I would have been back then. So I was born in 81. So it would have been 85, maybe 86. I probably would have seen this for the first time.
Right. So Shaolin Temple Strikes Back. Childhood fave of Nathan's. Me and Darren found it in the mid-90s when we were finding our fandom. Rodney, history with this one?
Watched this film with my dad quite a lot.
Cool.
Had this on video, VHS.
Ah.
And me and my dad loved this film. In fact, I still remember the actual dialogue from it. And I ain't watched it in years.
Cool.
Wow.
And when I watched it again, I remember some of the dialogues. Obviously, that film obviously had an impact on me as a kid. You know, if you still remember the words from it, I mean, come on, look at that.
Oh, hell yeah.
Same here. Same here.
That's right. And obviously, Chan Shan in this, his performance was
Boy, yes.
top tier.
Yeah. I mean, he's never bad though, is he? He is never bad.
No.
And you see him on a cover, right? You know you're in for a treat.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I love this.
I love this armor. So for me, this was my introduction to Chan Chan, man.
Bloody hell.
So we got four credited choreographers on this as well.
Yeah, Alan
Choi Chang-san, Lau Fong Sai, Chen Mu Cha, and Max Lee. So it's kind of interesting as well. It's not necessarily the names you would expect to see, is it?
No, well, Alan Choi.
Yes.
Alan does, a lot.
Yeah. But yeah, you'd expect maybe a Lu Feng in there or a Lucifer Lee or...
Yes. Yeah, this does seem like a film Lucifer Lee should be in somehow.
You know what? I'm convinced I went on the images on HKMDB for this film and saw a picture of Lucifer Lee, who's not in it. But I'm sure on HKMDB.
You might have done the odd flip, mate.
Yeah.
Those monks in the background. Yeah.
So this is an odd one to talk about in a way because I come across this quite a lot sometimes when podcasting about films. You'll see something and you're like, oh yeah, that's fucking great, and then you get down to talking about it, and it's a bit of an odd one because it's almost like you have to see this. Really, I don't know quite as much as I want to talk about it. I don't know what there is to say because it's pure cinema, right? Like we say, we got the plot out the way. They're only took up a few seconds, and then it is just wall to wall, pure just cinema and like invention, and it's fantastic. But I don't really quite know what more to say about it. So,
well, I think there's
a
couple of
fun characters in there. You know, you got Mark Long as a drunken monk, and he's quite funny in this.
He's a good Sam Seed, actually. You don't see him do that often.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
And then you had the monk who eats meat, don't you? And he's married.
Yeah. You got a cowgirl as well.
Cowgirl's funny.
Yeah.
Not with a cowboy hat though. She just
she'd look good in a cowboy hat.
He goes, she's a flower. And he goes, no, she's a wildflower.
Rose of Thorns.
But I mean, I think one of the ways you can describe this, I think one of the things you can say about this film is there are a couple of standout fights in it, and I'm talking mainly of the drunken style stuff. So it's drunken weapons, right?
Yeah, you don't
You've got Chan Shan
doing this
sword. Drunken sword. Fucking hell. Yeah.
You don't normally see him do that.
No.
Yeah, and even with the with the drunken spear, that's a style you rarely see, drunken spear. And in this film, for me, it's actually got some of the best spear work ever. This spear work is incredible. So just seeing kind of like, drunken spear versus drunken sword, drunken staff versus drunken sword is what you see. And like I can go into like a lot of depth in terms of the analyzing the fights. Like I love the viewpoint that the camera goes to when he turns his mask to kind of like give you that drunken vision and that, kind of like drunken perspective. But then obviously, you know, Chang Chan, he's like, you haven't had any wine. How can you even be drunk? And then so you have authentic drunken versus, you know, not, you know, fake drunken. I guess.
Which is that's a fascinating.
He was drunk.
I remember.
Drunk.
Yeah. I remember that being a confusing thing, which I still don't have my hat on totally about after all these years later. Is I'm still quite sure if drunken style is actually about getting pissed or pretending
to be.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, but in this one, he actually was drunk.
Yeah, but it's an interesting thing because I get the theory behind it that if you're off your face, then you're gonna no one can preempt what you're gonna do, right?
Yeah.
But then the whole idea of putting yourself in the headspace of being drunk, but not actually being drunk.
Yeah. Well, I liked how he was slurring in this film. What he was saying, the only he was drunk.
Yeah.
They're all the same to me. You know, the three other guys.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, you know what? I was thinking that drunken sword, which is amazing. I think I've just realised where not where I saw it before, but where I saw it after. There's a really similar scene to that, if I remember rightly, in Blade of Fury, Sammo's Blade of Fury, where the general gets pissed and does this amazing drunken sword thing. I'm sure it's not an homage to this. It may be, but it would be odd if it was.
Yeah, someone else does drunken sword. David Chang does it.
Yeah.
But you know I'm going to say, don't you?
On telly?
Yep.
Bingo card.
Yes.
Princess Cheng Ping. He does drunken sword. No, sorry, it's Dynasty. The series called Dynasty. He does drunken sword in that.
Okay, you'll have to dig it out for his brothers and show us.
Yeah, that's really heavy, really good, really good. Yeah,
wicked. But touching on drunken style and stuff, so you know, there's different takes on it in terms of, well, one is the secret is deceptiveness. So you're not actually supposed to be drunk. You're supposed to take on a headspace and fool somebody that you're drunk. The other part is actually it adds power when you drink. So the more you drink, the more power you have. Hence why Sam Seed, when he has no wine, he has no strength, kind of thing, because he's a drinking alcoholic. But like also it's kind of like, but then if you look at like Drunken Master 2, the lesson there is, okay, it adds power, but if you drink too much and get out of control, you know, that was all very much about, you know, not
because he's almost like a berserker or something, isn't he? At the end of that, like,
that's right.
And also when you're drunk, obviously it numbs the pain a bit, so you can soak up licks. So I think it just depends on what kind of like camp and what school you kind of like sit in terms of, you know, should you be drunk? And I think maybe the sweet spot is not to be hammered, maybe a bit tipsy and a bit merry. But you know, but you can't be so drunk where you can't do anything. Like you can't be paralytic.
Right.
That's the thing with drunken style.
It's funny. I've never thought about this before until you mentioned it now. But do you remember that film that came out like a few years ago? It might have. Did it win like best foreign film Oscar or something? Maybe Another Round. Do you remember this? It was like where was it from? It was it Danish? Where's Mads Mikkelsen from? Is he Danish?
Swedish, I think, isn't he?
Is he Swedish? Yeah. Anyway, it's from somewhere around. Do you remember this? It won Oscar for best foreign film, and it's called Another Round, and it's basically about a bunch of guys in Sweden, like middle-aged guys, who kind of try and maintain like a certain level of drunkenness every day. Like it's supposed to like your peak is somewhere between sober and like a little bit drunk, and they try and I just realized it's like it's kind of like the only non-kung fu film I can think of that deals in this kind of territory of it's not it's kind of an interesting little film, but I only just made the connection now that it's a drunken drunken kung fu film. But there's no kung fu in it.
No, it's quite interesting, isn't it? Like, you know, obviously there's some are drunk or not drunk or they're pretending to be drunk or have more power. It's quite interesting when you see the different depths to it, isn't it? To drunken,
I mean, dimensions. be dynamics to it for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
So yeah, I think that with the weapons play that's on here is incredible. And I think this is actually the first time I ever saw rope dart. There's a whole like training section with everybody and things, and it's funny. As a kid, I thought
that's like the first thing someone do the rope dart, didn't he?
Yeah. Sorry, what was that? You broke up.
Oh, he's back.
Yeah. Sorry, say
I'm
again.
back.
Sorry, what did you say?
Yeah, I was just saying. Oh no, it wasn't that important. I said one of the first scenes you see in Shaolin is someone doing the rope dart as well, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so again, it's funny, like as a kid watching, because they always used to say that soft weapons are the more difficult weapons to do. But going back now, having done rope dart, I'm like, I can do everything that they're doing. It's quite funny. It's surreal seeing that. Like, oh, their moves. I can go in my living room and just do it right now and stuff. So that was quite a surreal realization, because obviously as a kid I'd never thought I'd be able to do that and seeing that.
Shaolin living room strikes back. That's your next go.
Smashing up TVs and stuff.
Yeah,
We'll have to go in the shed for that, mate.
Yeah.
But
Shaolin
blazing sofa.
That's I
Shaolin
like
shed.
Shaolin shed. I like the sound of this. Also, someone refers to Shaolin as these goddamn bald heads in this film as well, which I got to laugh out.
Goddamn monkeys. Yeah.
He said monkeys, didn't he? Didn't he?
Also, this film features one of the worst disguises ever.
Oh, you mean the monk head?
Yeah, monk head.
Yeah.
There's so many questions. There's this bit,
wasn't it?
Yeah, because there's a bit. So there's So the logic. Well, it's Taiwan. It's the 80s. Of course, there's no logic, right? But even this has to be questioned. So they're hiding the princess in the Shaolin Temple.
Yeah.
And at one point, the soldiers turn up. All the soldiers from the new dynasty turn up and are searching for her. And they keep coming in, like 3 or 4 times. They come into this temple area where she's there in the priest's robes that don't fit her, with
and
not even like a full bald cap. It's like a half bald.
It's a ladle, isn't it? A big old water ladle.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck it is.
And the thing is, you're thinking, oh, you went to the trouble of doing that. How about just not sitting in this room, love? You'll go in the back. That would be so much.
She's banging that bloody fish thing as well.
Yeah, exactly.
She's making a hell of a palaver.
Don't find me.
Yeah. They won't find you if you stop banging the fucking fish.
Yeah. And don't be the only priest in the room.
Yeah.
Like, mingle with the other priests, of which there are many, with your stupid half-bald hat.
Yeah.
So there's some good bits in this. I like when Mark Long goes to see Shan Shan and his brothers. The crew. Where he just walked in there, didn't he? With no security, nothing, no backup.
Yeah.
Also, there's a history with that gang, isn't there? With Mark Long.
Yeah.
Because I'm getting the impression they trained together.
Friendship.
Right?
He's just some dodgy blokes before, wasn't he?
Yeah. That was it. And also, like Chang Shang's entrance in this film is brilliant. Like,
he just walks in, doesn't he?
From the shot where you don't even see his face at the beginning, he's literally just walking up the steps, and then them 2 monks and he just walks past them like they're not even there. They're like, huh?
No, nothing.
Yeah. And they come in, and then literally he licks up that one monk, and he's got his hand on his, and then the whole crew have to come support him, and it's just that one image of that like triangular formation where they're all putting pressure on him, he's just there, and then they kind of buckle him a little bit, and then he just moves that way, and then the orders drop, and then he just deals with them all, man.
Great scene.
I also like towards the end when we have the massive fight. There's that that big dude who has like the studded vest.
Like the iron armor technique.
Yeah. He's fucking cool as fuck.
Mark took off his arm, didn't he?
Yeah. There's a bit of gore. There's a bit of gore.
But that's the bloke from Incredible Kung Fu Mission, isn't it? Professional fighter. That's him, isn't it?
Yeah. It's funny as well because it's got that all that madness, but from the beginning when it starts. And it gives you a bit of a history lesson. 527 AD, and they're talking about the Indian monk Damo and all this.
That's right. That's all in there.
Oh, this is going to be. Oh, this is actually going to be a proper historic. Oh no!
No.
Fuck that. We're going to just make some bollocks up for the rest of the
ships.
Yes. Yeah.
Princess,
but it's something that they
ships.
Like, no, this is serious now. Listen up. We're going to give you some history. I hope you're taking notes, and then. Yeah, just
do you know that princess? She's done a front flip, didn't she?
Yeah.
Playing with the other. She's playing with a cowgirl.
There's a backflip. There's a backhand spring,
didn't she? Yeah.
So again, she's like there drawing attention to herself in the temple with Chance.
Yeah, I know.
Catch me.
No stealth at all. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and she doesn't. It's not like they do it out the back. They do it out the fucking front entrance. These two girls playing together in the front entrance in Shaolin that doesn't have women.
Yeah, she wanted to be caught all along, man. Because even in the end, she was like, "Just let me go with Wang Yi. Just let me go." But she always wanted to be caught. I'm telling you.
I'm thinking, that end fight. Now, obviously, the M monk who done him, the Chalka.
Yeah.
So then all those monks die, and he done him in 10 seconds with the finger.
Yeah, he could just have done that in the start, couldn't he?
Yeah. How many monks died? He done him straight away.
Yeah.
Easily.
Hey, Darren, I just noticed.
Shot. When he killed him, the camera shot, didn't it? He turned around, didn't it?
Darren, I just noticed something that will appeal to us, to Welsh fellows here. The actress Liao Li Chun, who plays the princess, I'm looking her up on the Hong Kong movie database here. Her first film, The Sheep on the Way Home.
Well, we've all seen a sheep on the way home.
We've all taken advantage of a drunken sheep on his way home.
Well,
but she's not in much.
Some of us don't need the drunken, Clive.
Well, yeah, you are a bit of a
or getting drunk, rather.
Yeah. Okay? I'm not sure who comes best out of that story.
We were both guilty of abusing a stereotype that is often used against us.
But we're allowed to. That's the thing.
We are allowed to.
Yeah, we're allowed to do it.
Yeah.
If someone else,
but we're still punching down on ourselves.
Yes. But it's interesting. I don't suppose, because now's your chance, Rodney, to jump in. This is when you say that she has 500 TV series on her.
I never checked on her, actually.
Oh, okay, all right.
So she might have, but I don't know.
Doesn't look like it though. But it's interesting. There's a lot of people in this film. There's some people we know, and there's a lot of people I've never heard of as well.
Yeah, but that's Taiwan though, right? That's just just there's just so many like talented kung fu performers in Taiwan you've never seen.
Yeah, because the guy does the finger technique. Obviously, that was his only part in the film, right?
Yeah, he just shows up at the end.
He's the monk at the beginning. He's the
one at the beginning. So he's doing the finger. That was him.
Oh, right. Okay.
So he plays there and at the end.
Yeah. Okay. But what I love about that specific fight moment with him at the end is there's a couple of points. The first point is, it's almost like a perfect demonstration of yin and yang, or even the spirit of Shaolin, in terms of it goes from very calm and peaceful to praying to all of a sudden like just explosive. Explosive power and rage, and then back to, praying. So you're getting that whole almost like juxtaposition of, hard and soft in terms of philosophy on a deeper level. But also, if you look at everything that he's doing in his fight choreography, everything's open hand. There's not a single fist that he throws in. So everything again is, open hand.
Yeah, I did that.
Throwing fists and stuff like that. So even choreographically, that I feel that was a choice that they made in terms of his technique. The only thing that he does is not fully open hand is the finger, but even that's not a fist. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and I guess that is almost like synergies with Shaolin finger jab. You know what I mean? From
That's what
other
I'm saying.
kung fu
Yeah,
films. Yeah.
but that guy's always good though.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they call him, you know, his nickname is Lee Van Cleef. He looks like him a bit. Actually. He's called Lee Van, that guy. Yeah.
Actually, I never thought about that.
He looks like him. He does.
Not because he's got a van,
No.
because he looks like Lee Van Cleef.
Yeah.
Because if he was from Wales and he was called Lee Van, he'd just have a van.
Yeah. Oh, you know, Lee Van. Yeah. Or no, he doesn't even have a van anymore. He had a van for about a week 10 years ago.
That's it.
And he's forever called. Like, I've got a cousin or something who died. Like, I think she lived in a caravan for a week, and for the rest of her life, she was Margaret Caravan.
Yeah. Well, it's like for a long time when I was in school, right? When I was in secondary school, on the first day they took the register, my name got mispronounced by the teacher, right? And it was Davo, right? Instead of Darren, it was Davo, right? For some reason, right? So for about 3 or 4 years in school, I was called Darren Davo. That was it. One moment, 3 years. Anyway.
Oh no.
What I was going to say, the other thing this reminded me a little bit, when we were talking to Toby about Ninja Final Duel, it was quite interesting because it was interesting because Toby's always interesting, but one particular thing he threw out there was quite interesting, was like, Ninja Final Duel was almost like a showcase for other people in the industry. You know, like, yeah, it doesn't matter about your regular civilian. This is to show off what we can do, right? And I got the similar feeling out of this in a way. Like, it's a fun film and we can all enjoy it and everything, but it's got like that almost fucking audience be damned kind of attitude. Just look what we can fucking do. And it is what it's 90 minutes of look what we can fucking do.
And everyone was good in it. Everyone was good in this film.
Yeah. Well, there's that one bit that really impressed me, apart from the drunken stuff, is I think it's Chan Shan. He does like this flip over this dude he's fighting and manages to whack him and kick him in the back. And that, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think there was an edit point in there. So I think that was actually one shot. I think. Yeah,
it was.
And that's impressive.
Yeah, low angle. Yeah. It's a great kick. It's not done in. You don't see many people doing that kick. But that was a brilliant kick. Like Chan Shang, like he has so many like standout moments in this film. Just from his movement quality and his shapes. But he's always on in everything he does.
Always.
But even like when you're looking at the monk, was it like Sealin, when he's doing just the showcase of the spear, when he's just training the spear and things, and how he's moving that. And even when the staff versus spear, like Chang Chang versus I can't remember the lead actor's name, but them two, like when they're doing the spear and he's going after him, like the shapes they do and the spins and the rotations they're doing, and even when he's going bat 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 and he's trying to hit his hand with the staff and he's just dodging out of the way, and you see that's an application because he uses that earlier on in the film when he's just practicing by himself. So it shows what I love in films is when they show you them practicing and then they show you the application in the fight
later on.
But the thing is, that would fly over most people's heads, though, right? Because and it doesn't. That's what's impressive about it to me as well, is like on this granular level, once you start noticing things, like I said, it's almost it's almost like showing off to other. It's like a show reel or something. But on top of that, is it just fucking works as entertainment as well? Like if you were just wandering to a cinema back in the day, you'd just be like, wow, fuck, this is awesome. Like, so I that's what really impresses me, I think, is just that general level of like it's so high level, but at the same time it almost doesn't it doesn't show off unless you know to look for it. Do you know what I mean? Like they don't forget to be first and foremost entertaining.
100%. And also with the film as well, which helps it with the entertainment, is a comedy element into it and stuff like that. Like for example, when like Cowgirl's always trying to catch out C Kong and trying to get him to eat meat and stuff, and like there's the part where there's the chicken and they're all going down. And it's like, oh yeah, oh got what you cooking? Chicken. Oh, I'm not sure it is chicken. Oh, what do you think it is? Well, let me taste and find out. And he eats it. She goes, what do you think it is? It's like, I ate it too quick. Let me have another bit. And it's like there's like little cheeky kind of like moments. And
There's
then
some
like
good comedy in this film, you know.
yeah. And
Yeah.
then the abbot when he catches him, and then he's like, okay, I'll be lenient with you. What's the first offense? And he's like 3,000 pails of water. And then the way he just crumbles, like, oh
Yeah.
out, gets done, man. It's brilliant. Absolutely
Do
brilliant.
you know when Mark went to meet the brothers? Yeah, when he goes, oh, after this last drink, he had about 4, didn't he?
Yeah.
Raging alcoholic.
Yeah.
After this drink, we're no longer brothers. After this drink, you're my sworn
Yeah, 4 times he said that. Oh, hilarious. I love this film, man. I love this film.
Yeah.
No, it was really nice to catch up with it again. Actually,
Yeah, because I don't think I'd have got back to this without doing the podcast because I remember it. I remember watching it. I remember enjoying it, but it's not one I was going to ever rush back to see because it was kind of in my mind when I first saw it. It was kind of great Taiwan shapes, Taiwan madness. I'll just move on to the next one, and then I'd have watched something more kind of, something with more gimmicks in or something that overwrought that memory,
because that's the thing, isn't it? It's neither one or the other. It's not like it's not. It doesn't have that kind of classic, like, I don't know, 36 chamber or something. It's not that. It's not that kind of. But to your point, it doesn't have like a flying guillotine or a man in a gorilla suit or like that little kink that would make. It's just kind of so. Yeah, it flies under the radar. You kind of forget about it, but then you kind of circle around, watch it again. You fuck, this is a good.
Because you got Mark Long and Chan Chang in top form.
Hell yeah,
and that's enough. That's enough there.
More than enough.
But
one of them was enough.
Everybody else is good as well. So
yeah.
Anyway, excellent choice there, Nathan. And so it was nice as well to segue because got it. Yeah, Shaun Have a Sex Back classic, good. And now what's this then?
Can I just say one last thing on
go for it.
One last thing, and it's actually not even like fight related. Like what I like about what this film showcases as well is the lead actor, his like devotion to the princess. And like in a lot of films when they have a soldier being loyal and things like that, it's just this is the loyalty and that's it, right? Actually with this film it shows how his loyalty for her overrides what he wants as an individual, because when he's like trying to bullshit her because she's like, oh, why are these monks so good? And he's like, oh yes, probably because their heads are shaved.
Shave your head.
She's like, right, you have to shave your head too. And normally it feels like, okay, but in this film he's like,
what?
Oh gosh, shave my head.
That's quite funny, that bit. Yeah,
exactly. Funny. And so what I get is you see like you see that internal struggle where actually it's gone from total devotion to there's a struggle with his own personal his identity and where that fits in. But obviously he goes for the loyalty of her, because then like later on down the line in the film it's all pure about his pure devotion, even when he's unconscious at the end and you hear him
he's like half dead, wasn't he, really?
Yeah. Hear him screaming
to help her.
Think how disappointed I am. I shaved my head and I'm still waiting for Cowgirl to turn up at the door.
Cowgirl's funny, man.
She was brilliant. So I think like again, if we know where to look, there's lots of gems in this film when it's not only about the fight action, but there's different elements on kind of like humanity. And even like if you look at the hierarchy of the monks, like even like the abbot, even though he's the abbot and his most senior figure, the old dude with the beard who does the finger technique, he seems to be almost like more senior or more wise than him in terms of like the counsel that he gives him at the end, in terms of, well, actually I think you should let SHAOLIN kind of like go. And he's almost like a bigger voice of reason, even though the other guy is supposed to be the abbot and the most wisest person. So again, it's like there's little nuggets of like dynamics in this film where if you scratch beneath the surface, you can really uncover some stuff that you may not find in other kung fu films where they would literally have just brushed over certain things. Like, okay, he's the most wise. That's it. So yeah,
good characters in this one. Yeah. A lot of variety in this one. Yeah.
Yes. 8 out of 10 kung fu fans prefer Shaolin Temple Strikes Back.
With marrow bone jelly.
With marrow bone jelly. So anyway,
for a glossy coat.
Let us we're halfway there. We need to take 1 foot out of sanity and step into the world of the little hero of Shaolin Temple, or Shaolin Youth Posse, apparently, somewhere.
I actually like that title.
Yeah.
Red Dragon of Shaolin, it's also known as.
I prefer Youth Posse, because it actually describes better what this film is.
Yeah, this is it's interesting as well. Again, we've talked about this on this show before, but like one of the great things about this genre as well is just how you find the strangest things just hiding under the most generic, the little hero of Shaolin Temple. You're thinking, oh, that's nice. That's that's going to be a some kind of Oliver Twist or something, little story about a plucky little. No. It's a fucking batshit insane.
65 children are murdered
for
no good reason.
Crazy, isn't it? If you actually think about it, obviously when I watched it when I was young, I didn't really think about that. Obviously, when you watch it again, you think, bloody hell, these kids are getting done bad here.
What? So, hang on, sorry, let me rephrase that. 65 children are massacred for no good reason, whilst they are left unsupervised for weeks.
Oh yeah. They went off, didn't they? The senior monks, didn't they?
Yeah.
Well, they put that one in charge. He had no choice either, did he?
Yeah, they put a kid in charge.
Yep.
He had no choice.
Yeah, well, the older dude, he died, didn't it? The one adult that was left in charge, he popped his clogs, so to give it up to someone. But do you know, with this film, like, so it's another film I grew up watching as a kid, on VHS, but when I rewatched it recently, like I didn't realize I'd only seen the cut version of this film until I rewatched it. Like,
oh, okay.
Yeah, and for me, it's a completely different perspective now. Just in terms of their energy and vibe. So, for example, I prefer the cut version to the uncut version, and the reason being is in the cut version, like they took out a lot of the graphic deaths of the kids. So as I've been growing up with this film, I didn't realize the deaths were so graphic, like seeing swords going halfway through.
Neck, wasn't it? One of them.
Yeah. So
hanging out.
So when I grew up watching, that was none of that was in it. So they took it all out, and I feel quite rightly so, because it's a hard watch.
It's hard watch.
As an adult and stuff, it's a really hard watch now.
And it's not one or two kids either. It's not one or two kids either.
Loads of them. And so for me, it's like I don't think I'll ever watch that uncut version again. Like I watched the cut version. For me, the cut version is fine because it's not graphic in terms of how the kids die and stuff like that, and it's more balanced. Whereas with this film, it feels like you see too much suffering from the children.
Yeah.
That's horrible, absolutely horrible. And so I think for me, I don't think I'd ever watch that version again. So from a lot of this, I'll be speaking on the cut version rather than the uncut version, because I didn't the uncut version.
Let's see if we're all on the same page here, because this is interesting. You mentioned uncut, and I'm not quite sure which. So for this as well, I watched two versions side by side, right? Because I went to YouTube. There's one version on there, the English dub, which is about 82 minutes. Mm-hmm. But is this the version you watched? There's something a bit chunky about this, like I don't know if it's been filmed off of a screen or something, but like a lot of the backgrounds wobble weirdly, and so I was seeking out another version on YouTube, and there's a French version
All right.
I
which
didn't
is
see that one.
shorter by about 5 minutes, I think. And I watched them side by side, but what's missing is kind of arbitrary, really. There wasn't much to. There's like a couple of scenes which are almost entirely missing, but they're not cuts to like violence or things to children, like you were saying. So when you're talking about cut version, like what were you watching? What was the?
So the cut version I watched was the one that was entitled "Little Hero of Shaolin Temple." It had the cover with the on VHS. It had the cover with the young abbot with the hand across like that with the staff on it and things like that. That was it. But like for example, in the cut version, for example, you know the bad guy that's the leader that was in white. When he whips his ponytail around that kid's neck.
yes.
Yeah? So in the uncut version, you see that for about 4 or 5 seconds, and the kid's struggling, and he's right. In the cut version, that moment's not there. It's just a quick whip of the hair, done. You don't even see him.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So you know, and so a lot of the deaths, they're literally just you hear a sound effect and see a kid reacting like and that's it. Whereas in the uncut version, you see a lot of weapons going inside of the kids and cutting them up and stuff. And so again, for me, that's what makes all the difference to this film being like a really uncomfortable watch to being a really enjoyable film, actually. So
that's interesting then. So there's at least 3 versions of this floating around then.
Yeah, and both the cut and uncut version I saw, both were English dubs as well.
Okay.
So before we go any further, just to get us in the right place. So the story here is, again, there's a little prince hanging out, needs hiding at the Shaolin Temple, but at the same time, there's been some sort of royal decree or something, and all the monks have to go to a mountain retreat, don't they?
Right. Yeah.
But they've left. I'm not a bit confused. I'm very fucking confused in this film. But it seems as if they've left some people behind, right? They're like, they say in the English dub at least, oh yes, we'll leave one monk behind, and then they all fuck off to the mountain. But then it seems to me that they've left quite a lot of people behind, including all the kids.
Well,
not just one
monk. I think what they're trying to do is there's the prince, isn't there? There's a prince that's being hidden at the Shaolin Temple.
Yeah.
Right. And everyone knows, and the baddies, the government, the prince and the princess know the kids at Shaolin, but they just can't identify him. So
no, that bit makes sense to me. Well, the bit that makes sense to me is the bit about you're all got to go, and then apparently they all go, but they're all still there, as far as I can tell. I don't know how many people are supposed to be.
Yeah, I think basically what it was is they know that if they were to, just take on all the monks at full strength, they'd struggle. So they have to get rid of all the older monks,
right?
So they can easily deal with the kids,
right?
Wipe out however many kids they need to in order to get the prince. But obviously the kids are smart, and they all put a mole on the foot because that's the only way they can identify the prince.
Yes.
So, but all the kids do it. So then
they all put red warts on the bottom of their So it starts off.
Yeah, what would have been helpful?
Yeah,
in that moment was if we had a bit of exposition of a monk drawing a red mole. Well, on all the kids' feet.
To be honest,
because all the kids have just got the mole all of a sudden. The
further the film goes along, the less it makes sense, and the less I care, and the more I'm enjoying it. So it doesn't really matter. But the thing is, there's so many things like there's a couple of kids die, and then we're wondering what's going on. And this is deliberately this is meant to be confusing. And then we flash over to the evil princess, and she's talking about, and we find out, well, I killed one child in the middle of the night, and then he has the memory of killing the second kid.
Yeah.
But that's not what happened, because the second kid dies in, like, they're having a bit of a fight. The kids are having a bit of a fight, and they're having a bit of a scrap. And then suddenly one of the kids is dead, right? And they're like, fucking hell, he's dead. And they but oh yeah, the kid's dead. But then when they have the flashback of when that kid died, he's killed in the middle of the night in his room. He's stabbed. That's not what happened to him.
Yeah, I think he might have been lying though.
Yeah.
And his flashback.
Yeah, I don't know. It's confusing. And then there's
lied to the queen. Well, the
plus
princess, like,
two kids
yeah.
die, right? And then they get the idea of giving them like rape whistle flutes, right? Basically, they're like hand out flutes, and then if you have a problem, play the flute, right? And
it
then
doesn't help them, did it?
no, well, the thing is, what happens is that we have the flashback of the kids dying. So since the flutes have been handed out, a kid hasn't died yet, right? The murders happened pre-flute. But then in another scene, they're saying, those fucking flutes didn't work.
Yeah.
Well, no, because you only just handed them, like, and I'm trying to keep track of all this. And then after when one of the guys turns out to be a vampire, I'm like, oh, fuck this shit. Like, I don't know what's going on, but I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it. And then it kicks up another level. You're like, okay, this is weird. Oh, hang on now. A statue in the temple has been punctured and there's smoke coming out of it. Okay, I can deal with that. Turns into black smoke.
And then
Not
Jenna comes out.
Not did I expect that thing to blow up and suddenly
that was insane, wasn't it?
Levitating dude comes out, who then turns into a skeleton.
Yeah.
What's going on?
There's quite good wire work on him as well.
I'll tell you what's going on, Clive.
Well done.
Clive, I will tell you exactly what's going on. Taiwan, 1984.
Yes. Something's in the water.
That's it.
Yeah.
It was like he was a zombie or something, wasn't it? It was mad.
Yeah. He was like, because he practices kung fu for so long. I think it was gonna send him deranged or something.
Yeah.
Something about if he exposes himself to the air, he becomes a skeleton in minutes or something. I think one of the monks said when he was walking into
didn't he?
Right.
Yeah.
But it's like a booby trap. It's the world's weirdest booby trap. It's like, oh yes, just in case the Shaolin temple's ever invaded. Oh yeah, I don't know, bomb or something. No. What we need is we'll put a bloke inside a fucking on the off chance someone might make a hole in it, and then he's going to fly out and hand their asses to them, and then turn into a skeleton. What? Madness.
Do you think those villains were quite creepy in this? The other villains.
Oh my god. Yeah. There's so much going on with each of them villains, like wild. Like that camp vampire, like
I forgot he's quite camp as well.
Yeah.
He was mad, that character.
Because he was like, totally insane. Because on one level, it's like when you listen to him just talking, he sounds like, he'd be soft as anything. He wouldn't be able to fight. He's more like a matchmaker in terms of how, right? And then like, wow, isn't that really something else?
Yeah, no, it's mad.
Right? But when he fights, he's a complete savage. Like a savage. Like he's the most primal of all those bad guys, because he just has a taste for blood and likes
he does.
Fighting, like, and again, like on the cut version, you didn't quite see the suffering that the kids went through. But on the uncut version, so
that's what makes it more uncomfortable to watch, doesn't it? Because he's creepy. He's enjoying killing, and they're children. It's a bit.
That soft and hard dynamic. That always reminds me of like when you hear Thai people speak. Right, it's a very gentle, beautiful purring. That's not racist, by the way. But it's a bit like that.
What? Just because you said so?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't speak Thai, so I could only make up nonsense Thai. But it sounds, it's got that little thing kind of. I'm not doing it again. Anyway, but it sounds very gentle. And then they're fucking hammering each other in the head with fucking knees and elbows. Like, it's, So, that doesn't surprise me that the very camp vampire gentleman turns out to be a fucking badass.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, is that like it would be if he was a fantasy creature like a vampire, right? We'd be in Hello Dracula territory, right? Which is still fucking brutal, right? But it would be the fantasy element would kind of soften the brutality against the kids. But this is just a psychopath who likes a taste of blood.
Yeah, loves it.
By the way, I just realised between my Thai accent and Nathan wearing that hat, I think we've got ourselves cancelled.
Yeah.
But that's all right, because no one watches anyway.
It's not
demonetized, mate.
appreciation, so yeah.
I tell you, it's funny. You know the Queen's advisor. He had a mad dubbing voice, didn't he? You're the advisor.
Yeah.
He was quite funny, that character.
Well, the guys
he called that monk a spawny monk, didn't he?
You all do, yeah. He was terrible.
The guy with the
spawny monk. Yeah.
The guy with the ponytail as well. It's so interesting because that comes out of nowhere, and then you don't really see it again. And there's a couple of other films that are entirely based around people flipping their hair around and strangling people and raids, but in this film it's just a throwaway little extra additional thing just chucked in there, isn't it? So you got the ponytail guy, you got a vampire, there's another camp fella as well, and then there's
one with a sword, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a general just kind of sadisty guy, and the thing is as well, after all that, it ends, spoilers, but it ends with just, oh, go on, leave us alone, sir. All right, then.
No. Hang on now. Hang on.
No,
You've forgotten the suicide vest.
Oh, yeah, sorry. After some suicide vest action.
Yes.
Yeah, with the random ninja clan that has appeared out of
Oh,
nowhere.
yeah, of course, because after 70 minutes of madness, they're like, oh, what haven't we put in this film yet? Ninjas. There we go.
Yeah. So apparently there was like a ninja clan that was on hold.
Yeah.
Well, they're not even called ninjas. They're called the Japanese unit.
Oh, there we are.
Oh,
You're calling the Japanese unit. And I'm wondering, who are these people going to be? Oh, yeah, ninjas. There we go, of course.
Yeah, but regarding the dynamite at the end, the suicide vest at the end, it's watching 70 minutes of children get killed by adults. Surely it's time to switch it up a bit and just watch them fucking kill themselves.
Well, no, but there was some big fighting before that. There were some big fights before that.
Like to be honest, if you look at the choreography of the fights, if you want to talk about that in terms of the dynamics of it, for me, like some of the most incredible acrobatic fight scenes ever committed to the camera. Like I'm going to be controversial on this one, but everybody talks about how Yinhua and Yinbu are the best acrobats. Nah, these kids piss all over them because everything that they're doing.
Well, they do in Taiwan literally piss all over people as well.
Yeah, but everything they're doing, is it's not only because some of the times they're doing it in tight spaces. Like, for example, that little kid that does 3 or 4 back handsprings on the spot on a tiny table. Yeah, that's reminiscent of Yinbu doing a backflip, in Dragons Forever over a guy and landed in that small space. And then in terms of a lot of stuff that they're doing, it's 2 or 3 people like somersaulting or integrating flips and somersaults and being really intricate. So they've got to be so on point when they're landing in those positions. Because normally in a lot of Hong Kong stuff, when there's intricate acrobatics going on in fight choreography, it's only normally 1 or 2 people doing it at a time over on each other. This, you've got 3 or 4 people, and also they're doing it 2 or 3 people high.
There's some really good arrays, wasn't there? The arrays.
Yeah.
So the formations stuff,
incredible. Really good formations in this.
So this is like acro. This is like acro, like partner acrobatics. Like in gymnastics, it's called acro. Yeah, but it's like partner acrobatics. It's super high level, and like the environments and the spaces that they're doing it at, and the timing of the choreography, and again, like I say, the shapes. And then a lot of times when they're doing this, there's no wires for those acro moments.
No, there weren't.
It's all real.
Yeah.
Like I think most of the wire where it was used on that guy that come exploding out of that.
The crazy monk, or the zombie monk.
They burned all their wires on that, so they couldn't use any.
Yeah,
but I think that's sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I grew up, I'm sure we all did, I grew up watching fucking Why Don't You? Just shits on that from a great height.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think you made a really good point there, Nathan. Actually, on the kind of comparison to Yin Biao and Yin Hua, and yeah, you're right. That Yin Biao's flip in Dragons Forever, where he goes backwards over 2 or 3 blokes, right? That's the stuff of legend, right? In Taiwan, that's
Regular.
a fucking Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah.
And
a throwaway.
And a child doing it as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
Exactly that.
sadly, I'm hopefully one of you might be able to correct me. That'd be great. But as far as I can tell, according to the Hong Kong movie database, we're lacking a choreography credit for this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't find one.
I would love to fucking know. I mean, because the thing is, the director is not that familiar to me either. Tan Tien Da. So I can't guess, like, from other films he made, like who he was working with.
No.
Well,
and the only film he's made that I've seen is Jade Hairpin Alliance.
Yeah, but I think that film company for this film didn't do much other films, I don't think.
Yeah, so I'm wondering here if maybe here the secret sauce might. So Ricky Cheng has always been a bit of a mystery to me, right? Because I think of him as he's the weird man, right? That's his big kind of credit, right? And obviously he's kind of, is he? Yeah. He would be Baby Venom, right?
Yeah, he's Venoms into Baby Venoms. He's like transitional to Baby Venoms, isn't it? Yeah.
But
so obviously Seven Steps was his big one, though, wasn't it?
Yes, as well. But it's still, he's a little bit like, I don't really know him, and I'm just wondering if he made his bones, maybe if he's a bit more behind the scenes. And
he was in there's the film called Stunt Couple, and he was the action director and actually played the action director in that film. It's like a Colin Chu movie, like a TV movie. Okay. And he actually plays a stuntman in it, doing actual stunt choreography. But I think he ended up doing that later on anyway.
And if you look at some of his other credits as well, in terms of that, Mystery Chess Boxing.
Yeah.
And there's formation stuff there as well, right? So I'm wondering if Ricky Cheng maybe might.
Action director, he might be.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, there's so many people in the mix in Taiwan in that era. I mean, it could literally be anyone.
No, I know, but I'm just, it's just, I'm curious because it just seems like, I'd love to know anyway. I want to know if anyone knows. Well, you know who would know if anyone knows.
There's another website that's got good info. It might be on there actually.
Yeah, we should just ask Toby. If Toby doesn't know, no one knows, right?
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, because the film is the choreography in this film. It's so dynamic, and it's very. It's very like it's got the kung fu techniques and the shapes and stuff in it, but it's like shapes on steroids because they're literally making shapes out their entire bodies with formation.
Yeah.
And
there's that bit as well, and even it extends to like not just so there's a bit where they take out one dude and they like fold
and they roll him up into a ball.
Yeah.
That was quite well done, wasn't it?
Yeah. And it's almost a throwaway thing, but you're thinking, fuck, that's impressive. Who's that? How are they doing that? In midair as well, not just on the floor or something.
That's right. They rolled him up.
I mean, I was.
Go on. Sorry.
No, you go.
No, I was going to say, and there's other moments as well in this film that I think were great shots by the director, just in terms of storytelling. And I'm not even on about from a choreography perspective. Like, for example, when the monk that comes out of that statue, when he launches that guy, and then you just see the shot of that guy's hand just going. Like that, right? When you see that moment, okay, it's almost like a turning point in the film from the bad guys, because from when you see that guy, the bad guys have been pretty much up until that moment, they've been like, yeah, we're kicking your ass, kids, we're tough, we're we've got the upper hand. And then when you see that bad guy, he's literally going, help me, and waving. And the response, exactly. That's the moment. That's the big switch moment when you see the responses of everybody. So but it all comes from that hand, that help me hand coming out. And I think that one shot of that hand just coming into, I thought, brilliant. And then the other one that I think kind of like speaks volumes again is, I think there's a shot where a kid, you don't see how the kid dies, but you can assume what happens. Basically, I think he does a flip, he lands on his back and he's going like that as he's dying, and then you just see the end of a bloody blade just coming into shot. Yeah, okay. So see, you know the shots I'm talking about, right? They stand out, you know, and again, it's kind of like, you know, storytelling in terms of, you know, the malice, you know, and the violence that's happening with, like, you know, so for example, like moments like that would do a better storytelling job of the violence and actually seeing the kids getting mutilated in the way that
I know you're saying,
do you know what I mean? So I think there's the director had some really great like storytelling moments within just the shots that they selected for certain points.
Right. So now then, there's one thing we have neglected to mention. I looking over my notes, and it's easy to forget because there's so much going on, right? All little skeleton, vampire, ponytails, little kids, mad ships, suicide bombers, right?
Yeah.
What about that little fucking Tarzan girl?
Yeah.
What's she got to do with anything?
Oh yeah, because they're off to the mountain, aren't they? And then she rescues them. Yeah, I forgot about her.
And she's like from a different film. She's like a Tarzan film, or like one of those snake girl films or something. She doesn't have snakes for hair.
Or like you know, Buddha's palm or something. Like, you know, a magical, you know, little dragon maiden from the forest.
What's her deal? Does she have a spin-off film or something? Is there a sequel? I wouldn't be surprised if there's a sequel or something.
Well, she's like a bootleg cowgirl, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bootleg cowgirl is a very obscure sexual position.
Because you know the Empire, I think she thought she was going to go, and when he goes, "Oh no, you have to go back now."
Yeah, that's the thing. They keep trying to. She keeps trying to force her way into the film and fuck off, Tarzan. It's like,
you know, like, you can go back now.
Get your own film.
Yeah.
But but I suppose, I mean, you're right, Nathan. I think there's like, there's you forget about the filmmaking because the shapes are so good and there's so much craziness in it. But you're right. I think, and also I think just the way the film is structured, you've got, like, you know, tragedies already writ large in this when they put one of the, you know, the abbot's robes on a little stuttering kid, you know. That's that, you know, that in filmmaking terms, that is, this is already gone wrong, and tragedy is about to occur, right?
Yeah,
because they put a load of kids in charge of the Shaolin Temple.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. And there's so much, like even that kid that stutters a lot, you know, and this film also has drunken kung fu as well. We haven't even spoken about
this film's got everything.
But like that. You know, that stuttering kid again, like he's a really interesting character because obviously, you know, he's the butt of everybody's jokes, but he has some sort of authority as well in terms of, I think, you know, they haven't put him in charge to a certain degree because, you know, they all snitch on him, don't they? In terms of who showed you where the wine was kept, and then they all point at him, and then the next thing you know, they're all getting punished for it, and he's not, and he's like cussing them out about it.
Interestingly, by the way, that bit's missing from the French version for some reason. He doesn't get drunk and do all that stuff. That's not in there for some reason. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, that's an interesting point. Interesting choice actually. But yeah, you see kind of like his, you know, his dynamic with everybody, and like it's almost like the other monks, they kind of like hate on him. He's just so annoying. But and then you see his transformation through the film, because you see him totally afraid, obviously trying to protect the abbot because that's what he knows he needs to do. Then he goes and hides behind the abbot's robe because he's just so afraid and petrified. And then, you know, after they go into the Red Room and train, which we all love in a kung fu film, and train, you know, he comes back, and then when he's faced with all those, you know, bad guys again, all those adults, he's got so much confidence now. He's just like, so you're all here again. And he's like, and again, like, you know, their costume change as well is a big signifier of the narrative changing in terms of they've leveled up in skills. They're not in the blue you know, traditional outfits no more. They now got the white on, you know, with the kind of like red robe across them and things. And that, again, in terms of storytelling, just visually from a costume perspective, you know, that's a great storytelling beat, a great storytelling moment in terms of, okay, right, so we now know things are going to be different. Let's see how
right.
And then you see the kid slap him about when he gets him in his legs.
So unfortunately, because I didn't quite time this right, I'm gonna have to actually go to work now in a few minutes. But just to wrap up,
we got there, I think.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to mention finally as well, because I found this quite interesting, and there's another excellent couple of pairings here from Nathan. But also, I was surprised. If you go online and look up, I mean, there's not much about this film online anyway, but almost every review you'll find is very negative. Like, people don't like this film. And I don't understand why, because it's so much fun and it's so much going on in it. And
I think it's adults writing about kids' films, though, right? So I think that's probably the source of the...
Is it a kids? I suppose it is a kids film, but it's like it's a weird or fucking mutant kids film. Like,
yeah, well, it's Taiwan
84. Yeah,
Taiwan.
Yeah.
Taiwan kids film.
Yeah. I think if they'd seen the cut version, they would have probably liked it. I think they probably saw the uncut version and probably turned them off.
Maybe. But it's interesting as well. It does. It's another one of those tricks you learn as well as along. Like, I think at a certain point when you're getting interested to kung fu, you see what are all these kids? I won't watch them. You know, 7 little kids or 7 fucking. You think, I won't bother with them. No. Watch them because some of them.
Because Lucifer Lee choreographed them.
Yes, and you need to be watching some of them. Don't avoid those. No.
Yeah, and Eugene Trammell's in them. And
That's right. Yeah.
The last quick observation I want to make about this film was this is probably the only time I've ever seen. It only happens for a moment, but a sword used like a rope dart. So, for example, there's the guy who has the sword and he keeps throwing pulling it back and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's a moment when the kid gets the sword off him just before he kills him, and he is holding the thread and he wraps it around his neck just like a rope dart.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Actually, I've never ever seen that type of innovation where a sword is wielded the same way a rope dart is wielded.
Yeah. And again, a throwaway thing that if you're not paying attention, it's. Anyway, we could do this for hours. This is fun. I think we're all agreed, aren't we, gents? We want to have Nathan on again, don't we?
Oh, hell yeah, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, a couple of excellent choices, and a good chat about both. I do apologize for hit and run, but I have to, make a living sometimes.
No, but Nathan, you sent us deep into the Taiwan undergrowth.
Yes,
straight off.
Yeah,
and that's an ecosystem we quite like
that we enjoy.
Yeah. I'm glad. I'm happy to.
Nice one.
Cool. Yeah, it's been great.
So until next time, this has been YCHYFUS. Thanks once again, Nathan, for curating. Excellent job. And see you chaps all again soon.
Very good.
Cool.
Bye. Bye.